Hi, everyone. It's Saturday. It's October 9th. It'll be a busy weekend in our parish. We have two weddings. We have two big Bible studies for women. We have at least seven liturgies going on for Sunday at Riderwood and at Resurrection, and some other fun things taking place. So there you go. But I made this tape days ago, so I may be busy out there, but today I wanted you to have a nice little program. Just thinking about St. Joseph and some lighthearted things again. I saved a number of lighthearted things uh, to put on these tapes. So the first is it's just a little story that St. Vincent Ferrer would tell about Pepita and her master. We'll call the master Roberto. So the story goes that it was at Christmas time, and Roberto made an unusual request with very little notice. He said, I want a family of three to join me for Christmas afternoon dinner. Would you make it for me? And she was protesting, that's not enough notice for to host somebody. But after putting up some complaints, she says, look, I know I can put together a simple porridge and an easy meat dish. Okay, for the four of you? And these Pepita, no, these people of great distinction. And I would like pheasant and stuffing and pastries and dessert. I really think that they're that important. Pepita's like, they sound very important. Well, she committed to doing it, but thinking these must be people like the princess or something, and I guess my master has made friends with them, and maybe I'll receive some favor for being a part of this. So she's all set, has a lovely meal ready. It turns out the next year, with at least 2 or 3 days' notice, her master Roberto's made the same request. People of distinction are coming, and so she's prepared, thinking, okay, this time somebody important is coming. But it was another rather poor looking couple, and she was surprised again, but she had the great layout, and they treated these people with honor, and they had a wonderful Christmas dinner. And he also welcomed them to stay, which they did. It surprised her, but Roberta says, I'll take care of them. You can go home. And she says, all right. Well, this became a thing. Each year, there'd be these guests, and she would cook this marvelous meal. And she began to understand her master's compassion, that these are people that were poor off the streets of the city that he had brought in, poor with also a young child. Well, Roberta was a great mass goer, and she was a kind of one. But when her time came, yes, as to lay down to rest, she was ill, and Roberto had taken her in to the cottage next to his house, and he was taking care of her, but he himself wasn't that well. Well, it turned out that both of them were aroused, and a couple with a child had come to the door and gone in and said, we're here for you. And they were like, who are you? Oh, we're here to take you home to heaven. We're Joseph and Mary, and this is our child Jesus. We're here to take you into glory. For all the times that you have taken in people, now heaven is ready to take you in. And we're taking you in early. Tomorrow there's going to be a storm that comes up the coast here and knocks off a number of houses, and some people will perish. But we are going home tonight. Now Joseph had them both in the living room, and although they were struggling to get there, he says, "Now I want you to look at the child that's in my arms." And they both looked at the child, and they immediately felt strengthened and healed. And the child giggled, and the eyes seemed to be amazing. And Roberto and Pepita, is that what the name is I gave her? I think so. They were able to just leave with the family, and they said, "We're taking you now to a banquet. It's going to be Christmas in heaven. You're going to love it. And you're going to recognize a number of people there. And you're going to be very happy, especially when you see the Father and are bathed in the Spirit." Do you like that story? A story that St. Vincent Ferrer would tell. Well, I left some time for some light humor, some light musings, comical musings. So here's a phrase that you hear around a lot: cup of joe. Does cup of joe come from St. Joseph? Was it the drink that he had on the flight into Egypt to stay awake? Did he invent it? Did the wise men also give him some coffee grounds and a water supply and something to heat it up with? Did they have coffee? How about sloppy joes? Is that associated with St. Joseph? Can you imagine Joseph saying, "Well, I found this little interesting meat dish here, but it's very messy, but you put it in a bun and you eat it," and and you can imagine Jesus is growing up, he's 3 or 4, he says, "Jesus really loves this sandwich," and Mary's like, "Yeah, but he makes quite a mess all over himself." Joseph says, "Well, that's no sin, right?" So Mary says, "We'll call it Joseph's sloppy sandwich." And then Joseph, he's like, "Okay," but then Jesus speaks up and says, "Sloppy joes, sloppy joes." And that is how the sandwich got its name. Did you know that? So there was a guy named Jose. That's Joseph in Spanish, right? He goes to a baseball game. Yeah, goes to a baseball game. But he doesn't have a very good seat, way out in left field. You can see him because he's wearing a sombrero and a festive looking Mexican outfit. But the friend of his is sitting behind the dugout in very good seats. And as the game's about to begin and the pitcher's getting on the mound ready to throw, the guy behind the dugout yells to the guy in left field, "Jose, can you see?" And everybody stands up. "By the dawn's early light, what so proud." Hey, when I was a kid, I used to like watching TV and comedians. My mom and dad would let me see at least the clean ones. So there was Jose Imanes. I'm not sure what show he was on. It was a Hispanic comedian, and he played like kind of a clueless guy, but ready for anything. And so the interviewer says, "Are you Jose, the spaceman?" "Yes, I am the spaceman. I come back to Earth. I splash down. I'm here. I'm back." And they said, "Well, can you tell us what was your mission?" "My mission was to fly to the sun. Me and my amigos fly to the sun." Hey, when I was a kid, I used to like watching TV and comedians. My mom and dad would let me see at least the clean ones. So there was Jose Jimenez. I'm not sure what show he was on. It was a Hispanic comedian, and he played like kind of a clueless guy, uh, but uh, but ready for anything. And so the interviewer says, "Are you Jose, the spaceman?" "Yes, I am the spaceman. I come back to Earth. I splashed down. I'm here. I'm back." And they said, "Well, can you tell us what was your mission?" "My mission was to fly to the sun. Me and my amigos fly to the sun." Oh yeah, the comedian's name now is Bill Dana. Bill Dana. Now continuing. And the interviewer says, "Well, I'm puzzled because you made it back. I don't think anyone would take that mission, would be able to make it back from coming to the sun and you just burn up." He says, "How did you do it?" "Jose Manas, smart. We fly at night." We fly at night. So that's how they were able to deal without the burning rays of the sun. Yes. Okay. Some funny humor. I hope you think it's funny, or at least a giggle, a grin. Can I get a grin out of you?